Boom! What's up, everybody? I'm glad to be back. It's been a minute. I hope everybody can hear everything. If you notice, I'm sitting on the floor. So when I do work with pedals and my guitars and stuff, I always sit on the floor so I can just have things around me. Let me know if you can't hear me, if you can hear me fine. I guess I got captions somehow. So, yeah. So today I'm starting my new thing. It's called Tone Snob. And if you're anything like me, you're obsessed with guitar tones and chasing that elusive, perfect tone that everybody's looking for. So what I've decided to do is just get out all of my stuff. Nothing's off limits here. So I got most of my amps, all of my guitar pedals, all my guitars are here, my different cabs and things like that. And I'm just going to sit here and try to find that tone. Today I'm kind of going more for a bedroom tone, so getting that perfect tone to play, a lower volume perfect tone. So let me just go over what I actually have here. So I'll quickly go over it. I got a couple cameras set up so I can switch back and forth and you can see things. So let's start with the amp. So this might make you sick, but I've got a, let me see. Yeah, so I've got a little mobile camera here. This is the main amp I'm going to be using today, which is an Egnator Rebel 30. And this is the amp I've always used at all my live shows. And here's how I set up my amp first. So I go in and turn all of everything all the way up. So treble, middle bass, all that, all the way up. And for amps like this that are single channel amps, I'm always going to turn the master volume all the way up and then actually use my gain as the volume. So it works really good, especially so that's how you can get a loud, clean tone. And that's what I look for in amps, are clean tones. And I like to drive the amp with my pedals. This actual model here lets you switch between 6v6 tubes and EL84 tubes. And you can just blend it in. I usually put it just right here in the middle for both. The 6v6 is going to give you a warmer, fatter kind of tone, and the EL84 is going to give you that nice British chime, if that's what you want to call it. It's also got a watts knob, so I can go, from 1 watt up to 20 watts. I'm playing clean, so I want that all the way up. So if I was going to, try to get lower volume distortion, I would turn that down to 1 watt so I could really drive it. It's got a bright and a tight switch. I'll leave those off. If I'm playing with a Les Paul or something, I will turn that bright switch on. The tight switch is mainly for when you're playing really loud. With distortion, it will take off some of the lows of the amp. And I've never actually used it. To me, it kind of just sucks the life out of the amp, but I'm sure there's a place for that. I've also got my Ibanez TSA 30 amp here. It's got a 12-inch speaker in it. It's essentially just the same thing as this up here. It's just a single channel clean pedal platform amp, but it's got a Tube Screamer TS808 built directly into it, and that's it right here. Overdrive, tone, level. You can turn that on, and it's also got a boost built in, and I do that the exact same way. Whenever I'm playing it, just turn everything all the way up. Sometimes I'll turn the bass and treble to noon and leave the middle up. Next, right here, I've got my Vox. So this is a AC4. So it's the same thing as your AC30s, just like the smallest version possible here. And it's really awesome. It's 4 watts, and it's only got a volume, a level, which is like 4 watts, 1 watt, or 1/10 of a watt, and a tone knob. And it sounds really, really good. It's got an 8-inch speaker, but it's also got a speaker out, so I usually just plug that in and send the tone, the actual volume, to an external cabinet. Next, I have my 2 orange amps, And, you know, when I first saw these, I thought they were just a big joke. You know, it's something cute to put on your table or whatever. But these are fantastic amps, and they're about $200. You can get them for $100 used. It's got a tube in the preamp section, so you've got a 12AX7, which is your standard, you know, tube in a preamp section. This one I changed it to a 12AU7 so I could get a little more clean headroom out of it. And this one has got the stock 12AX7. This one's more, the black one, the dark, micro dark, is more of a more gainy kind of amp, and this one's more of a clean amp. And I used to take these with me for shows, and if my amp for some reason would stop working, I would use this one. I would just plug this up, and it's the exact same wattage as this, 20 watts, 20 watts. And that's plenty loud, especially if you're miking your rig. So I've also got, and this is like, I'm gonna let y'all in on this secret. This is my secret weapon of all time, this little amp right here. So what this is, I went to a pawn shop and bought a guitar, and it an amp. It ended up being a B52 amp, but the guy was like, hey, if you pay me like $50 or something, I don't know, something crazy, I'll give you I'll let you take this acoustic amp. And I was like, well, I'll take it and just see. I'll see what it does. And I found out on the back it's got a speaker out. So I cut the speaker part off. I just cut it off and made a little head out of it. It's 20 watts, and you can turn this thing all the way up, 20 watts all the way, and it stays completely crystal clear clean. And it is, you know, like the JC 120s from Roland. Like, this is my clean amp. It is the best sounding clean ever. And what's really good about it is, you know, all of your tone comes from your mid-range. So this actually has a mid-range sweep built into it, if you can see here. So I can, you know, do my mid-level, you know, boost or cut my mid, but I can also pick where it's cutting and boosting. So I can go 400 hertz all the way up to 2K hertz, and I can pick that, then boost from there. It's got a chorus, which is okay, and then it's also got an actual reverb tank in the amp. This is the best amp. This is the best clean amp possible. Next I've got, let me try to do this. So I've got my Fender Deluxe. This one's actually broken at the moment, but this was my main live show amp. It is the best. You'll see these everywhere. Everybody plays these. They're backlines everywhere. Any pedal you put into this, it sounds great. The amp sounds great by itself. Awesome. It's 40 watts. It's the loudest 40 watt amp in the world. And then I got its brother here, which is the Blues Deluxe, which is pretty much the same as this amp. This one's just a little more creamier, a little more vintage sounding. I love both these amps. They're great. And then I have these Marshall cabs here. This is a 1965. It's on the back. I think it's a 1965A or B. I'm not sure. But it's 410s in both of these. And they sound great whenever you run the extension out of this into these 410s. So that's what I have those for. And that is my amp selection. Over here in the pedal world, I have my Vox Tone Lab. I don't use this a lot, but there's a couple things that this does. It does have a tube in it right here. So that's a 12AX7 tube. So whenever you're modeling like your amps or whatever, you're actually getting, you know, real tube gain out of it. Non-linear harmonic distortion for you right there. But it's got a killer reverb and delay section, so I use that. And there's also a little trick I'll show you over here in this part. So, you know, it emulates pedals and stuff like that, and it's got your two expression knobs over here. And these are the stuff I don't move. They stay at the end of my chain before they go into the amp. Your standard reverb, digital reverb by Boss. I don't use the delay. I just use, I think, the Hall setting and leave that on. And then the T-Rex tap tone delay. This is a fantastic. If your delay pedal does not have a tap tempo button on it, you need to get a new one. because that makes or breaks the pedal. So if you can't change that on the fly per song, it's horrible. You got to have that tap that lets you set the taps. See the light blinking? I'll tell you how it is. So it's got feedback. It's also got a bite. So as you turn this bite knob up, the delays will start to degrade, kind of like a tape would. So it's really good. I have the tuner and the volume pedal, and a trick here that you may not know, and this is for live players. Whenever you come out of this volume pedal, there's a tuner out option right here, okay? So you come out of this as the tuner and then go to your tuner pedal. You can leave your tuner pedal on at all times. So as you're playing, you know, if you hit an open D note, you can tune in the middle of the song without having to turn off your pedal or anything like that. And if you want to tune, you just turn your volume off, just like that. Boom. That's a little secret. The last thing I go into is this Ditto Looper right here. Super simple looper. That just lets me, you know, layer some stuff so I can solo over the top of some chords and stuff. And this is the newest thing that I've been working with here recently. I've never really understood guitar pedal compressors until, you know, a few weeks ago. It clicked. It was just like, boom, you need to start using this. And I started using it, and it literally took my guitar 10 times up. Like my tone, everything just sounded way better just from this one little pedal. It's a $100 pedal. It's Boss. Make sure and check these out. They're fantastic. And we'll get into that later. So that's what I have right now, just set up and already working. I have over here all of my pedals I'm going to be going through. I've got the OCD. I've got this little Dan Electro, little crappy black metal distortion, noise reducer, the Bad Monkey. It's a real cheap pedal, but it sounds really good. Blues Driver, the Crayon is the best clean boost overdrive pedal. It's a full range overdrive is what they call it. I've got my 2 tube screamers, so you can do the Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer trick, tube screamer into tube screamer. The Mesa Grid Slammer is a super warm, great overdrive pedal. Overdrive pedals are my favorite pedals, and I'll have a million of those things. The DS1 Distortion, I'll show you a trick about these and how to make them not sound like a fizz. There's a great trick to make this sound really good. This is my main distortion pedal, the Jekyll and Hyde. Fantastic. I used it on all my live shows as my main tone. This is a Dynacomp from Joyo, and it is supposed to be used as a compressor, but it's never worked as a compressor. I got it from a pawn shop, and I've always used it as just like whenever I go into a solo, I turn this on, and it just boosts the signal really, really well. I've got the super badass distortion here. I got this from a pawn shop as well. This sounds really good. It's not a high gain. It's just a nice, you know, rock distortion. Then the Ibanez Slam Punk. I bought this. I'd been playing guitar a month or so, and I thought I needed a pedal, and I bought this, and it sounds like complete garbage. But I think I can make it. I think I can make it work for some stuff. It's all just a paintbrush, you know. And then the Rat, the classic Rat. It's like a fuzz distortion. It's more of a distortion and fuzz. I don't know. It's a weird. It's its own kind of pedal. So then I got a Behringer cheap digital reverb, and then a Behringer compressor. I don't use those that much. Then the Hall of Fame mini reverb. It's just got one knob. You're supposed to plug it up to your computer and stuff, so you can change the reverb. I don't really ever use it that much. So I've also got, if you look over here, these are my guitars that I can be using. I've got my Gibson ES335 in satin cherry. My wife bought me this. I will always show this on every video. It's a Memphis custom. It is a fantastic guitar, and I almost don't like playing it because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. This is my Old Faithful. I've had this guitar for 15 years. It's the first really nice guitar I ever had. It's a Gibson SG Standard 2004. This is my all-around guitar. It's a Fender Telecaster with bird's eye maple neck. Let me see if I can get up close so you can see it. See the neck on that bitch? Yeah. So really awesome. I got a bass, and then that's my Epiphone Casino. But today I've been using this here recently. It's just my Fender Made in Mexico Strat, and I've never been a Strat guy. Never been a Strat kind of guy. Hang on. I'm just micing with a SM58 Shure over here, micing that cab. Let me switch back to the main camera so you can see me. So I'm going to start off with the Strat tonight. So I've never been a fan of Stratocasters because I'm going to get some hate for this. I just don't like the way they look, honestly. To me, they look like just like classic. You know, you see a sticker of a guitar, like in a family-friendly show, somebody plays a Stratocaster. I've never really liked the way they look or the way they felt. But I got this one because it has a pickup in it that is MIDI, and I have the pedal. It's over behind the camera. But I can run out of this via this and play piano sounds. Anything you can trigger on a keyboard, I can trigger it, you know, with my guitar. So that's why I got it, and then I started playing with it. And if you've never had a Strat with 3 single coils and played in position 4, then you're missing out. It is the best tone I've ever had, and you know, it's a cheap guitar. It's a made in Mexico. It's a made in Mexico guitar, and it sounds phenomenal. And I can't, like, I pick it up and I want to play something else, and I've just been playing this one. So that's something that is shocking and surprising, but that's where we are. So that is what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm just going to go through and try to find some great tones. So probably start with a clean, or you know, maybe y'all can suggest something that you want, like a nice reverby or ethereal sound. But I'll just start going from there and seeing where we can get. I've also got this, and I've heard that pick sizes and shapes and materials can affect the tone. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. So let's just see real quick. I've got your standard Tortex orange pick, the flavors of the nylon Dunlops. I usually use this dark gray. That's the main pick I use. Got a little jazz pick. I don't know if that's in focus or not. A really sharp pick, and then these big old fat picks. And we'll see if that makes a difference in tone. I'm going to start off with the good old gray pick, though. So we're playing straight into my Egnator back here. I'm going to take it off standby. One thing about the amp tonight is how I have it set up in my... I'm in transition between this room and my new studio I'm building out back, which is it's out back. I'm just still working on it. So where I've got this plugged up compared with something else in the loop, I'm getting a hum. So you're going to be able to hear the hum tonight, but it's not too bad. So let me know if that guitar's too loud or doesn't sound great or anything. And sorry, I'm sitting on the ground. That's the way you got to do it. So let's start off with just my standard tone. Nothing is on. As far as okay, nothing's on right now. This is straight into the amp. Everything's all the way up, as clean as possible. All the knobs, treble, middle, bass, all that, all the way up. Let me tune that. One thing is I started using the whammy on this, and it's been getting out of tune, so I might have to switch over to another guitar, as much as I don't want to. Let's see. Yeah, I might have to switch. It just doesn't want to stay in tune. So this is what I was talking about, position 4. So this is your standard bridge position on a telly. And then when you go into 4, it's these two, and I think they're out of phase, or like out of phase, or whatever the hell they're doing down there. But it gives you like a. So just between the neck and here, it almost sounds plastic or like nylon strings, which I really, really love. I love that. So let's start off with this section right here, which is the section I usually leave on all the time. Let me switch over to this camera and see if I can get it where you can see everything. Maybe, maybe not. Close, close. It's my first time doing this, so just kind of, you know, bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to start here with the compressor, so I'm just going to turn that on. Okay. Now, you can hear, let's go back here. Okay, so you hear the difference in. So of course, you know, it got a little quieter. That's why you can make it up with your gain here. Maybe I can just go straight to this pedal. Y'all see that? Here you go. Yeah. Boom. Well, I'm gonna get it in a second. I'm gonna get it. Okay. So yeah, you can see the pedal here. So you got, you know, volume, tone, because compressor is going to suck some of your high end out. Let you add that back in, or either it'll put some more in. You've got attack and sustain. Sustain is your how much compression you got. So if you turn it off, it's just your regular tone. If you turn it all the way up and turn the pedal on. And it'll just keep going. See, I'm still going, All right. So I usually don't use that much, and I always keep the attack up pretty high, just so I want to hear the. All right. So I'll keep that about right there. That sounds all right. Let's go back and forth. Alright, so let's move on. I'm just going to hit on a little bit of the reverb. I've pretty much got it set the way I like it. So, not too much. I will adjust it. You know, if I'm doing like so I'll kind of, you can. Gives you a little flavor to the guitar. Delay I'll put on sometimes, usually in a solo or something, because it can be distracting. I'm going to turn the compressor down a little bit. Hear it? All right. with a compressor, you can hit pinch harmonics clean as fuck. So just a little tip for you. Which sounds really good if you're being melancholy about the way you're playing, like a... So, that's my clean with a little bit of flourishing up here. I'm going to turn the delay off for now. So we got compressor and the reverb on. Now is where I usually like to go into my coloring, saturating the tone. So sometimes you do want a flat, clean tone, a funk tone. If you're playing, I don't know, Maroon 5 does that shit. They just have like straight, clean, if you're into that kind of stuff. So before I color all of that, what I do is I go into the pedal that everybody needs to have. If you don't have this pedal, it's the most, I don't want to say the most important. It is one of the most important pedals, more than chorus or anything like that. It's the, let's see, there you go. The EQ pedal. Boss makes a very, very great EQ pedal. And one thing about the EQ pedal, you can use it to, you know, sculpt your tone and all that shit, but it's also got a clean boost built into it. The level, you can just turn it up. That's a straight up clean boost. So, you know, you kick into a solo, just turn on your EQ pedal. You can also bump up the mids for the solo or whatever, you know. It's also good if you have multiple guitars. So if you have a Strat with single coils and then like a big beefy ES335, you can kind of, you know, either cut or boost the low end, bring up some of the sparkle on the top for the Gibson or the thicker guitar. It does all kinds of stuff. I like to use it as a boost and sometimes bring up the sparkle at the top. Is what I like to use it for. So I always keep this at the very front of my chain. I do use a wah pedal, but I can't use it while sitting down. So that would be right before this or after it, depending. So that's my EQ pedal over here, and I'm gonna switch over. Let me just pick a couple pedals. So when you're picking order of your pedals, you kind of want to pick, you know, cleanest to dirtiest. So, you know, your delays and reverbs either need to go in your effects loop, which I could have done that, but it would have just been all kinds of extra cables and stuff. But I'm playing my amp clean, so I'm not going into a distorted amp. If this was going to be a distorted amp, I would be putting my reverb and delay in the effects loop. That's so you're not putting reverb and then distorting the reverb. You're having distortion that is then getting the reverb. It sounds better. It's just what you're supposed to do. That's just how you do it. So up into the compressor here. So I would like to end. So I've got, let's see, I've got 4 distortion pedals, right? So I've got the Jekyll and Hyde, and I'll save that one for later. And I'll save the Rat for later. Or, you know, y'all let me know. I can play whichever ones you want. I've got the COVID-19 blues. I got the COVID-19 blues, my friend. But, what are you going to do about it? Hopefully we're getting to the end of it here. So I'm going to put on the super badass distortion because I'm going for a lower gain right now. Maybe later I'll pull out my SG and we'll do some like metal. I'll get some metal tones going. So which one goes where, right? So here's what I'm going to say here. So I got the distortion, the DS1, and this is going to be used as the super badass by MXR. I hope you can see these. I'm not too far off. The super badass. I'm going to use this as a full, like this is going to be like an amp distortion. So I'm going to put this last in my chain, and I'm going to be using this distortion as more of a boost for this pedal. And I'll show you what that means in a second here. So so we don't pop anything, I'm going to plug that, and I've got a handful of these cables here. So I'm just going to go plug this up. Go ahead and connect these. And one thing, just another little tip here for your house. I don't recommend using these for shows. I mean, if that's all you got, that's all you got. It's one of these little daisy chain things. Just takes one plug, and then it can power like eight pedals or so. I don't do batteries. It's annoying. Hate batteries. Let's see, I've got it up under my mic stand. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Saturday night. I usually play through my computer emulated speakers, but I got a kid-free night, so I can crank up the amps. So that's what the fuck I'm doing, all right? So here we go. I got the super badass Distortion and the DS1, which is your standard. You can get this pedal for 50 bucks. And a lot of people discount this pedal and Boss pedals in general, because they are kind of, they're not fun. They're not like a boutique fun pedal. They're like run-of-the-mill square pedal. What is it? It's a compressor. It's not super badass distortion. It's just called distortion. But they're classic pedals, and you can go and look at like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Frusciante has a DS1 on his pedal board. So, and he's got gigantic pedal boards. There's a reason. So let's go. I'm going to turn back on my amp. And we're still on. So while I'm getting my saturated tone, I turn off the reverb just so I can hear everything. That's the neck. So here's what everything on noon on the DS1 sounds like. I hope it don't blow everything out. Okay, so here's why nobody likes the DS1. You ready? It sounds like paper. It sounds like paper. All you have to do, that's all you got to do, is let me turn it off. I skipped going into my my EQ pedal here. By the end of this, there's going to be cables and wires everywhere. I'll try to keep it clean, but it's just not going to happen. So if you listen, that fizziness will go away as you turn the tone down. It almost comes in the back, like the back of the tone. Like you got the main tone here, and then there's a fizzy in the back. I don't know why they do it like that. JHS mods these, so they'll make it sound better than that. So just right there, I've got the distortion. I got the distortion at noon. So let's just pull some of the sparkle off with my EQ. There it is. Some reverb reverb, and now you got a nice little, you know. So you barely hit it, and it's got a little bit of just warmth underneath the string. So, and it will respond to your pick attack. So if I'm just barely, and then I'm gonna hit it real, I'm dig in, you know. Boom. So that's just one tone you can get out of the $50 DS1 Distortion by Boss, the little orange pedal. So next up is the Super Badass. So on this pedal, I'm gonna let you see this one. Let's see. Okay. So on the Super Badass, you have your output, distortion, and then you have a 3-band EQ. So it's essentially just like an amp, your standard amp, like I'm running into, but I'm running into a clean amp. So I'm going to start off with the distortion lower. And already right there, that sounds okay. Everything's at noon-ish. That's just a colored, clean tone. So especially if you have something going on over it, let's just make a little quick loop. Excuse me. Here we go. So now I'm going to turn on the Super Badass distortion. DS1, like I was showing earlier. Hit on some delay, tap it in. Did something here. There we go. And all that just with the DS1 and the Super Badass. So let's move on to my favorite, which is going to be Overdrives. I'm going to turn off this delay and this reverb. You cannot have a pedal board, and you might argue with me on this, without the Tube Screamer, the TS8, there's a TS9, there's 1,000 of them. I have the mini ones, and they sound good, sound fine to me. And I've had the bigger ones with the small button, Actually, I traded. I had one of the older models, not the really expensive like 80s or 70s models, and I traded it for that Egnator. Some guy, I don't know who it was, traded it to me for that. So I'm gonna add in this. I don't have anywhere to set my guitar down. What do I do with my hands? There we go. So let's move this over. So I'm going to discuss why I'm picking what. So first, Tube Screamer is going to be the first one, because I'll take the Tube Screamer and I'll turn it. Where am I at? Right here. Okay. I'll turn the distortion or the gain. What do they call it? Overdrive. I'll turn that all the way off, and it just adds. I don't know what it's taking out some of the low end. It's boosting the mids. It just adds like a nice warm, woody, if that's a term, woody, like a earthy tone to the guitar tone, and then you can turn it up, and it's real dynamic. It's a real dynamic pedal, and I'll put on the Bad Monkey and the Grid Slammer for right now. So the Grid Slammer is like Mesa Boogie's version of the Tube Screamer. So it's a little warmer. It's got a little more different characteristic than the Tube Screamer. And the Digitech Bad Monkey Overdrive is more distortion based. So I'm going to put that one at the end, Tube Screamer first, and then the Grid Slammer right after that. And for some reason on the Bad Monkey, it's got two outputs, and it says mixer. I'm going to tell you this: never go from a never use a guitar straight into the Bad Monkey into the mixer board. Never do that. That's never going to sound good. All right. Okay. Might have to use a different. There we go. All right. Right. So this is where it gets real fun. Plugging all this shit up. All right. So we're all plugged up here. Everything's off. All right. So let's go with the Tube Screamer. I'm going to put everything off. So it's got tone level overdrive. So it's essentially, you know, EQ, volume, and how much distortion gain you want. I'm going to start with the gain all the way off, the level all the way off, and tone right in the middle. So nothing should be coming out now. We're going to crank it up, and you'll hear. Like nothing's on. There's nothing going on with the pedal. It's literally just coloring it. It's not boosting the signal. It's not adding any distortion. It's adding some, but so the difference is subtle right there. But if you I'll sometimes put it about 9 o'clock, the overdrive. So remember, position 4 on a Strat is where you need to go. Now, do you hear low thump kind of I'm getting right here. See how it's stark, you know, sterile sounding. Bim, 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 bim. When you turn on the tube screamer, you get a nice, like, smooths out that top. And you can also kind of pull that tone back and get real mellow. And then when you put on your reverb, that's Tube Screamer. Now here's a Grid Slammer, Everything at Noon. I don't think the Grid Slammer pulls the lows off. So a lot of people use the Tube Screamer in front of heavy distorted amps to control that low end, kind of cut out that real low for modern metal, so your guitar can fit in the mix, because there's a lot of kick drums and bass and shit going on in modern metal, and that the Tube Screamer will pull that off. The Grid Slammer's not doing that. It's keeping that, like, that low is still there. So this is Everything Noon. Could probably use a little more high end. The delay is making it right. So I'm going to turn up the gain all the way on this. I got a bad cable. Let me switch that out real quick. Okay, so that should fix it. that sounds pretty damn good just like that. So, you know, whenever you're making up tones or, you know, playing with your stuff, sometimes just one little thing will just sound really good. So I'm going to make a loop, and we're just going to play with what we got so far. I didn't even touch the Bad Monkey. I had it on a good setting last time we played. We'll just go with that. How about that? Make sure we're tuned. Okay. we go over to the Bad Monkey belt. Oop. Making sure all of this is still working. Too much highs. So another pedal is the going to be the Crayon. Electro Harmonics makes this. It's the full range overdrive. So unlike some of the other overdrives, it's gonna do the whole spectrum. And so for this one, I'm gonna put this first, as I've always used it just more of a clean boost. So it's kind of just like the EQ pedal, but you can shape it. It's got a little bit of the harmonics built into it as well. A lot of people use these, so they're kind of a popular pedal. See how fucking loud it is already? So I've always used it without the gain. Just turn the volume up. This will not stay in tune. see what we can get out of this distortion pedal here. That's when you turn up the volume on your tube screamer and you get this. Or you use your crayon full range overdrive. I don't love it. This sounds better to me. right, so that turned into an hour-long jam session instead of the whole instead of the whole chasing the tone. But you know, as I was playing through here, I did come up. You know, I think at the end, this is what kind of stuck out. So I have the delay on. I'm going to turn that off. But with the reverb. In the context of like a mix when something else is going on, that sounded really good to me. So especially in the middle, and I did have the EQ pedal on, which sounds really mushy and bad, but by itself, like single string notes, like that's a heavy, just as a difference. Probably want to stay away from like those notes, but you can hear, you can feel, like if you were in the room with me, you could feel the weight of the note when I turn on the EQ. But after all that, it really just came down to the tube screamer at 9 o'clock, and tone rolled off, I don't know, maybe 11 and a half. And that's it. Middle position. These aren't burst buckers. They're like the 490s. They're the higher output pickup. And I really like a higher output pickup. My ES335 has burst buckers 2 and 3, I think. They're lower output. They're like mimics the PAF type sound pickups. But even without I'll just have to keep doing more of these because I didn't get to any of the other amps. The Vox, I really wanted to get to the little Vox right here. I'll just have to keep doing these. But I do want to do the telly a little bit. Okay. Somehow I bumped the mouse and muted everything. The chances of that is astronomical. That I just happened to bump the mouse and click on the mute button for both tracks. So anyways, like I was saying, is the neck, I don't know how far I got, but that's your blues. Whatever you want to do in that genre, you can do it right here. The middle is where I stay, so but usually if you just do that straight clean, and then my bridge, the humbucker, the mini humbucker, just sounds super warm for a humbucker. So like, it's almost like wood. Like if I feel like I'm hearing the wood of the guitar, I'm not, but I feel like I'm hearing the wood of the guitar. This is my best sounding guitar. Every time I come back to it, you know, I think it's something else. I think it's another guitar. And then I pick this one up after playing the other ones, and it's just like this one just feels good, plays good, and just like it just like it plays me, like I don't even have to try. So for Tone Snob tonight, I think it was a pretty successful first try. I need to do something with the cameras, make those cameras be a little more where you can see the pedals. I'll have to figure that out because it's hard to see everything, but then zoom in on each little pedal by myself so you can see the knobs. But I guess the winner tonight was the Tube Screamer, which it's always the Tube Screamer for me. Tube Screamer, and make sure and get you a compressor pedal and learn how to use it. One last thing I wanted to do, because I've been going for 2 hours now. I'm going to show you my secret weapon, which is my clean amp. Okay. So this is my solid state clean amp, and I just noticed you can just see my ass. The acoustic amp that I bought, that I got from a pawn shop, and I cut the speaker off and just made it into a head, and it's just straight up. Maybe I can do this. There we go. And I just made it into a straight up clean head. You know what I can do? Check this out. How about that? So I'm going to turn up the volume here, and you'll hear that it's just straight clean, no saturation, nothing. I'm going to turn off the reverb and the compressor. Put everything at noon for now. And like I was saying, you know, usually with most amps, once you turn them up, they start to distort. Any kind of tube amp. That's why people play the like the twin reverbs and like the high watt amps, because you can turn them up really loud and they don't distort, and you play really loud clean. Same thing with the Roland JC120. It's a solid state amp that just doesn't distort, and this doesn't distort. You can turn it all the way up. Like, I'm not going to, because it'll blow the mic out of the water, and me, because I'm sitting right in front of the speakers here. But just listen, it's a like, you can't make it distort. Like, it's not possible. It does need, this one you can't just set all the knobs straight up and go with it. It needs some treble. It's a little too much treble. I just need a little. The one thing is it doesn't take pedals great. But it does have a built-in reverb with a physical spring reverb. So that's not digital, like that's real. nice to me. You can turn it up and it gets like too much. I like for my knobs to have too much. You don't want that. Just put it right here. Probably come down some too. Like I was saying, if you turn on a distortion, it doesn't work as well because you're literally just hearing the sound of the pedal. You're like, the pedal's not affecting the tubes in the amp or driving the amp at all. You're just hearing what it would sound. It's almost like it's going into a PA at that point. Well, that sounded, you know, I'm sitting here saying it doesn't take pedals well, but that sounded fantastic with the pedal. All right. Well, I am going to sign off now. I've been going for 2 hours and 12 minutes. So I'm going to go. Thanks for sticking around. And if you're watching this in the future, thanks for watching this in the future. I'm going to do more of these for sure. Maybe next time I'll get into some of my other amps and some of my other guitars. I think I have quite a few guitars that I could go over. So I will see everybody later on. Goodbye.